Oh, baby, I love this clip right here. I love this clip. So Ben Shapiro is going to come gunning for my boy, my favorite centrist, Stephen A. Smith. And, man, swing and a miss. By the way, Ben, don't target somebody who's going to fight back and obliterate you. Like, this dude's job is to debate. His job is to argue. His job is to be charismatic and interesting. He could even make positions that are wrong sound good. Now, in this instance, I don't even think he happens to be wrong. I think he's right, okay? But swing and a miss, Benny. Swing and a miss. Unless it's all part of a plan where he wants the internet battle because it'll juice numbers. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you guys to determine. But here's going to go after Stephen A. Smith. Why? Because Stephen A. Smith went after Ben Shapiro's favorite politician, Ron DeSanctimonious. Pudding Ron, folks. Pudding Rob. Pudding Rob, we call him. Many people are calling him that.
Well, folks, the Democrats have a sort of weird conundrum. On the one hand, they say that Donald Trump is the worst thing to ever happen to humanity and a possible fascist dictator is looming. On the other hand, they really want him to get nominated. So they've been attacking Ron DeSantis.
Well, yes, number one, they think he's more beatable. So that is a reason why maybe they would want him to be the nominee. But I'll also say, little asterisk by that, Democrats also hate Ron DeSantis just as much as they hate Donald Trump. Maybe the tiniest little bit less, but it's roughly even. Roughly even.
The Republican Party continues to spiral. It is unclear who the nominee is going to be at this point, but it appears that Donald Trump, of course, has the upper hand. As I've said 1,000 times, you know what would be great is a campaign run against Joe Biden. That would be the best thing, is if you ran a campaign against Joe Biden.
Yeah, but there's a Republican primary going on right now, and the candidates have to distinguish one from the other, and so they're trying to emerge in this race, so they have to run against each other first. This is basic. He knows that. This is his way of being like, Trump, please stop hitting my guy. You're obliterating him.
One is to make sure that Donald Trump is the candidate, and the other is to rip down any potential other candidate. So the latest attacks from the media are honestly some of the most scurrilous yet with regard to Ron DeSantis. I got to say, this is just absurd. So first of all, the Republican debates are coming up. The first one is supposed to happen August 23rd, and that really is the kind of opportunity for somebody to start jumping in the polls is August 23rd. The problem is that Donald Trump has said he's not going to participate in the debates because why should he, as he says, because he is the front runner. There's no point to it. And if he doesn't show up, does anyone care what all of the other sort of all the little people in the race are? What, does it matter them fighting with each other? Like, what difference does it make? It doesn't make. So the people who qualified so far are DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy. Chris Christie says he wants to do it as well. Former Vice President Pence might not actually make the debate stage because you have to have at least 40,000 individual donors and 1% in 3 national polls of Republican voters. He doesn't have that number of donors yet, I think is the idea. But if Trump's not on the stage, what difference does any of this make? And that's really the question. Is it Trump or is it somebody else, right? That's the big question. Everybody knows that's the big question. And so the media are trying to take out everybody else. So the biggest potential rival right now is Ron DeSantis.
That's not fair. That's not fair. Yeah, the media goes after DeSantis, but you're telling me the media doesn't go after Donald Trump? I don't know what you're talking about, man. He's trying to make it like this, oh, big conspiracy going after my guy, Ron DeSantis. It's really unfair. Not buying that. Not buying that.
As much as I like Vivek Ramaswamy personally, Vivek is not taking the nomination away from Trump. He's not even running against Trump. Vivek's entire nominating strategy would basically be if Donald Trump keels over, then maybe he gets the nomination. And so he's basically running a very, very Trump-supportive campaign. DeSantis obviously is the one being attacked by Trump at this point, and the media are helping him out. They're doing so with lies. Their latest lie is that Ron DeSantis is sponsoring some sort of curriculum here in the state of Florida that is anti-black, which is absurd. The African-American curriculum in the state of Florida was written by a commission largely comprised of black academics.
He got rid of AP African-American Studies. Why would you do that? What's the point in doing that? Seems a little egregious. Seems a little gratuitous. He did that, so that gives you the context for the next part of the story that we talked about and many others talked about. Stephen A. Smith talked about it. And of course, Ben Shapiro is going to object. Listen.
There are 2 specific things that the left is claiming that this particular curriculum does. One, they're claiming that the curriculum talks up the benefits of slavery. Why? Because there's a phrase in the curriculum saying that some slaves used skills that they learned while they were slaves to benefit themselves after they were slaves. That is not about the wonders of slavery. That's about the resiliency and amazing entrepreneurialism of the slaves. Clearly, it is not about the wonders of slavery, you idiots and you liars.
Ben, you're the idiot and you're the liar, because we all know the real reason why they're doing it. We all know. They have an American exceptionalist viewpoint. And with that American exceptionalist viewpoint, what you do is you try to play up the good things about America, act like the good things define us, and then you take the bad things and you take away the rough edges. So, in other words, when we do things that are really bad, actually it's complex, it's complicated, it's nuanced, it doesn't really count because we meant well, and You see, if you look at it from this perspective, it's really not as bad as many people say. They're misstating it. They're lying by pointing out how objectively horrific it was. And so we'll give you some information that is just more nuanced than that. We're going to nuance troll and give you, well, a lot of the slaves learned good skills, bro, that they then learned after, bro. That's what it is, bro. That's the point. It is a propaganda trick. Would the United States give the benefit of the doubt to any of our enemies if they write their history like that? If in Iranian textbooks they take the negative things that the government of Iran did and they act like, well, actually there were a lot of benefits to this thing because of reasons X, Y, and Z, bro, Ben Shapiro would look at that and he would say, that is rank propaganda. But when it's about the U.S., no, bro, we're just being specific. We're just giving details, bro. And it turns out a lot of the details mitigate how horrible it was. You know what I'm saying? God, it's so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. Sometimes an objective description of something is colossally negative. And if you put the onus and you highlight the positive things, that is effectively doing propaganda to try to, like I said, get rid of the rough edges on it and make it seem like, well, when we do bad things, they don't really count because there's all these mitigating factors and it's a lot more nuanced than that.
The other one is that apparently the curriculum talks about the white on black violence that occurred during particular race riots in the United States, as well as black on white violence that also occurred in some of these race riots.
Yeah, you got to add that part about the black on white violence, right? You got to add, well, yeah, there was white on black violence, but also there's black on white violence. You know, I'm just giving all the information, bro. You make your own mind up. Is it 50-50? I don't know. You tell me. Was slavery like a net evil, or was it a little more complex? I don't know, bro. You tell me. This is the whole purpose, man. Come on, don't be. He's not naive. He knows what he's doing here.
Yeah, that's a thing that happened. I mean, you can pretend it didn't happen, but it absolutely did happen. Now, does that mean that the race riots were not based on white supremacy? No. But was there violence that also occurred toward white people? Sure. I mean, it's all a lie. But the media are going to run with the lie to try and portray Ron DeSantis as a racist. This is the dumbest thing. It really is garbage. And yet you're seeing the media pick up on this. Of course, it's pretty obvious they think that Trump is the one that they can beat most easily. Here is Stephen A. Smith going after Ron DeSantis.
But the more I see stories like this, the more it alerts me to the fact that Ron DeSantis, you don't need to be governor. I'm sorry, you don't need to be president either. The battles that he's fighting is just unconscionable. Why is the governor concerning himself with African American studies? By the way, in the state of Florida, it's been being taught since 1994. Why are you concerning yourself with such things? And when it says here, because I want to make sure that I'm quoting it correctly, bars and structures in schools that suggest anyone is privileged or oppressed based on their race or skin color. Are you trying to deny the fact that white folks have been privileged compared to other races of people in this country? Are you kidding me? That is a fact that even white folks haven't denied.
Okay, can we stop it right there? Stephen, have been and are not the same thing. Of course, white people were privileged based on their race in 1960. Are they privileged based on their race in 2023? I don't know, Stephen A. Smith, since you have a $13 million a year salary from ESPN.
Oh, he really used that argument. He really used it. Bro, you think there's like unequal treatment? You're rich. Checkmate. Ben, what are you doing? This is so embarrassing. Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Why are you even bothering to do the hide the ball game, man? We all see what's been going on with DeSantis. We all see how he's been running his campaign. We all see the issues that he's leaning into. Did Ben react at all to those two ads that were apparently made in-house with the DeSantis team? The first one was literally like bragging about all of the anti-trans stuff that they did and like showing the headlines and being like, isn't this based? Isn't this Giga Chad stuff? Like literally like, we sign anti-trans legislation, and it's great. Does he have anything to say about that? Oh, no, DeSantis isn't anti-trans. He's just trying to protect the kids and stuff, bro. What about that other ad that just ran that we talked about where, again, made by a DeSantis staffer in-house, and it had a Nazi symbol at the end of it? Even if you say, oh, well, I don't think DeSantis actually believes in these things and all, whatever. Okay, well, why are so many people like that being attracted to the campaign? Why is that, Ben? Like, why are you bothering to do the whole, like, well, no, he's not, bro. He's not even, he's not against minority communities. What? Who are you trying to convince here? Because it ain't going to work. When they got rid of AP African American Studies, that's a biased thing to do. It ain't going to work when you got these new lines in the textbooks about, well, they used their skills, the slaves did, for benefit, you know? So it's actually really nuanced, you know? Who are you trying to convince? Going after Stephen A. Smith. You make a lot of money, so checkmate. There's discrimination against black people? Non-existent, you know what I'm saying? I didn't say it, but I'm just saying it.
$13 million a year, this dude, sitting here talking about how rough black people have it in the United States compared to white people overall in the United States.
Is he talking about himself, Ben? Is that what he's doing? Is he talking about himself? Is he complaining about the plight of LeBron James? Is that what he's doing? No. See, it's lazy. He's not steel manning his opponent. And by the way, just so you know, I watched that whole Stephen A. Smith segment. He took like the smallest portion that had not much of an argument. It was like a throwaway portion of it, and that's the part that he showed. He didn't show the rest of the commentary from Stephen A. Smith. Why? Because it would have been a lot harder to respond to that. So he's just trying to straw man him and move on. You really want to open this can of worms with a guy who debates for a living? You really want to do that? Oh, I can't wait for his response. It's going to be glorious.
I'm sorry, this is not 1960. In fact, I'm very happy it's not 1960.
He's not saying it is 1960. He's not saying it is. But why is Ron DeSantis getting rid of AP African-American courses, and why are they putting in lines about how nuanced slavery actually was? Why are they doing that? Don't be dense on purpose. We all know, like I just said, it's about that American exceptionalist mindset. Play up all the good things, take all the bad things, and act like they're actually really complex and they're not really bad. We've seen them do this with stuff like the Trail of Tears and the Native American genocide. God forbid, they definitely do this around the nuking of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I mean, to this day, most people you talk to are like, yeah, I mean, I think we kind of had to do that and then ended the war. And, you know, go watch the Sean, piece on the nuking of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And you tell me if it's morally, hey, it's a lot of gray area, bro. It's nuanced. You tell me if that's the reaction you have from it. It's when we do it, it's okay. When we do it, it's complex, it's complicated, it's nuanced. When our enemies do it, oh my God, it's evil.
Meanwhile, Washington Post Eugene Robinson doing the exact same thing. The number of lies that people will tell in order to go after a candidate.
What lies, Ben? You haven't pointed out a single lie. You might have a more benign interpretation of DeSantis doing the things that he's doing and saying the things that he's saying, but there's no lie.
If their agenda were to stop Trump, they would presumably not be elevating Trump at the expense of his opponents.
Are you going to ignore the 17,412 anti-Trump articles that have run this week? Or the 7,000 anti-Trump news segments? Are you really going to make the argument there's favorable treatment to Trump because you're that much of a Ron DeSantis simp? Please. This is embarrassing, man. This is embarrassing. Even for Ben Shapiro. So anyway, I can't wait for Stephen A. Smith's response. This is going to be a fun battle. It's not going to end well for Ben. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.